Happy almost Valentine's Day. I was thinking about this time of year and thinking that there probably are a lot of questions about losing your V card. Because this is something that I had a lot of anxiety about before I actually lost my virginity. And, I would ask friends who had already had sex or, read Cosmo magazine. But I was still left with so many questions about having sex for the first time and what it was like. And I think for me, the biggest part of it was that I was really afraid that it was gonna hurt. Because I was the kind of girl who used pads her whole life, and I had only used a tampon once and it hurt really bad and I was too afraid to get it in. So I was like, if I can't get a tampon in, what in the world is sex gonna be like? So I just had a lot of anxiety around that. And so this video is gonna be all the advice that I wish that I had known before I lost my virginity for the first time. And everybody's experience is unique and different. Take this with a grain of salt. This is my personal experience, but I will say if you're somebody who's very anxious, high anxiety, a big baby, then we're probably gonna have pretty similar experiences. Number one is be prepared that it probably will hurt a little bit. Because really, if you think about it, it's kind of like stretching a muscle that you've never used before. I mean, it's like you doing the splits, and why do the splits hurt? Because you've never really stretched those thigh muscles. So, the more that you split, the more it's gonna hurt. And so the vaginal muscle is the same. Stretching out a muscle that you just haven't had practice with is gonna be a little bit painful. But something that's going to really help alleviate the pain is really calming yourself down mentally. Because once you go into it understanding that it is gonna be a process and things probably won't just slide in there super easy, it's really easy to relax yourself, especially because the more that you tense up, you're going to tense up your vaginal muscles, and that is going to make sex hurt even more because now you're clenching and it's not able to get in. So really just take the time, mentally prepare yourself, loosen yourself up, make the effort to loosen those muscles so that as they stretch out very slowly, then it's gonna hurt very, very minimally. Which brings me to my second piece of advice, which you're going to laugh at, but practice with a tampon. And I know it sounds silly, but I wish that I had done that because I was just not familiar, number one, with even where the entry point was for myself, let alone the sensation of having something actually inside of there. It's a very different feeling. And so I wish that I had just been more comfortable with my body and understanding it better because, my husband, he was also a virgin at the time. It's not like he knew, how to put point A into point B in the exact location. So it would have just been a lot smoother experience if I had just been a lot more comfortable. And then I would have, again, less of the anxiety because I already had a taste of, what it was going to feel like, where exactly it should go, how to loosen those muscles and really prepare myself. So that's something that I really, really think that is important if you want to take away some degree of that fear and anxiety about a foreign object going inside your coochie. And speaking of partners, make sure that you are with somebody who is going to make you the priority, that you are completely comfortable with. For me, I was so lucky because, number one, we had been married earlier that day. And so I had complete confidence in him and in our relationship. And also he was so sweet and gentle and patient and really made sure that I was feeling comfortable and there weren't any expectations of, even we have to have success that first time. Actually, to tell you the truth, it took about a month of, trying little by little before we actually were able to have a good time, having sex. And so be with somebody who is going to make you the priority. I mean, if they're a big enough priority in your life for you to give them your virginity, they probably should make you a big enough priority to make sure that you are the focus of attention and they're not worrying about their own pleasure or their own experience. It needs to be 100% about you. And one of the best ways to make sure that it's about you and that you are in control is go on top. Now, I know, again, in the movies, it looks so sweet and romantic for, the guy to be on top, and it just looks more sweet and passionate, but I'll tell you something. It gave me so much anxiety for my partner to be the one who was determining, how fast we were going, how much got inserted in at a specific time. It just felt like I really didn't have as much control in it. And so eventually, after a couple attempts of trying it that way, he actually recommended, he said, well, you should go on top, because then you're gonna feel like, you have more control. And oh my gosh, it changed everything. And that was the very first time that we were able to actually have 100% complete penetration success, because I felt so much more in control. I was the one who was able to allow how much of point B I wanted going into point A and the speed, and it just took so much pressure off knowing that I was 100% the one who was in control of everything. And so even though it might not look as cute and beautiful, doesn't matter, because if you're focusing on how to have the least amount of pain possible, least anxiety as possible, girl, be on top. And last but certainly not least, lubricant, lubricant, lubricant. I cannot say this enough. I'm just so grateful that on my wedding night, one of my very best friends gifted me with a lube of KY jelly. If not, I didn't even know what we would have done our wedding night. It would have been horrendous. So shout out to my best friend Taylor for making sure that that happened, because we would have suffered a lot, because it's just gonna make things going so much smoother and more effortless and without pain. Because if you're not using lube, it's gonna feel like a carpet burn. Things are just, it's not the way to go. But if you get a really good quality lubricant, and I'm not talking about the generic brand that's watered down, I mean really, invest in a good quality lubricant. It's gonna make all the difference. It just helps things slide in a little bit more easily, and be very generous with it. It might get a little bit messy, but I promise you it is so much better to have too much lubricant than not enough. So even though that was my experience, again, take the pieces that you feel like are applicable to you, take the pieces that are not. I mean, I've heard of people who have sex for the first time and they literally have no pain, and it's like movie magic. I just was not that person. And that's okay, because my sex life has evolved and now it's fantastic and there is no pain and it's a lot of fun. But if you want to really be able to mitigate the anxiety, mitigate those nerves, and really feel like your first time is a lot more of a success than mine was, and by first time I mean first 20 times before it was amazing, then I would apply these tips. And if you have any other questions or things that you're curious about that you feel like I didn't answer, then just leave your comments below and I would super love to answer them. I'm no sexpert, but I can help in the best I can. So thank you so much for watching this. Good luck if you're about to have your first time. I'm cheering for you, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.